Hello, everybody, and welcome to Papa's Shop. I'm Papa. Today, we are going to go over something that if you use a trimmer in your yard, we've all experienced. You're trimming away, you just mowed the lawn, it looks fantastic. You say, well, if I just get that grass and the weeds out around that fence, that'll be perfect. So you get out the old trimmer, and you start trimming, and zzz, and it's just going smooth and everything's looking perfect, and you look behind you and go, boy, this yard is going to be beautiful. And then all of a sudden your trimmer says bzzz, and you go, what the heck just happened? Well, you just lost your string. And now all that's happening, let me show you something. I got my trimmer right here, because it just so happens that I was out in the backyard the other day, and that happened to me. And I thought, well, since it's happened to me, I should show you guys how to fix that. So when you lose your string, this is the end result here. Okay. So as the motor turns, this is an electric one here, but whether it's electric or gas powered or whatever, basically the power head runs through here. In this case, the motor is down in this area, and it just spins this. As it spins, the string, let me grab this other one, because it still has string. So the string sits in here. As this rotates, it cuts things, okay? So, as we're talking about cutting things, let's just back up here a second, all right? Boy. Got something in my nose, just crazy. I know I'm not supposed to touch my face, but I do this every time we have a video. I touch my face. Ugh, drives me crazy. But anyway, I regress. So let's go over some different types of string. Now, let's just take our example a little bit farther. When you're out there cutting away, and you say, "Oh, ran out of string." Okay. All right. So now you're going to go and put some string in it. You're all out of string. So you go down to the hardware store and you go to pick up some string, and boy, they got string all over the place. What? Some of it's less expensive, some of it seems to be pretty expensive, and boy, that's a big roll. Wow. Am I going to use that much? I don't know. And then they got these things that look like this. What the heck is that? It's all right. Calm down. We'll get through this, okay? I'm going to explain all this to you. So let's put these things aside for a minute. We'll get to that later. So first of all, we're going to start with the minimal stuff, all right? Now, whenever you get a roll of string, I'm going to tell you this much. Whenever you get a roll of string, you got some of these are like 40 feet, okay? You want to stay away from that, all right? And the reason is because whenever you hit something, okay, piece of concrete, piece of wood, whatever, you're putting on, let's just point this out here for a minute, okay? Now, let's just imagine that roll of string is on here. 40 feet seems like a lot, but when you consider that every time you snap this off, that you're probably going to lose somewhere around that much, okay? You know, and if you've ever looked in your yard, looked around and said, boy, what the heck is that? Well, it's little pieces of this stuff. So I guess what I'm getting at is that if you don't have very many obstacles in your yard when you trim, and you're just going through and it's just cutting off just grass, 40 foot is probably going to be fine. But if you have any kind of obstruction, if you got especially concrete, when this stuff hits concrete, it's done, you know, and you may not realize it, because by its very nature, the machine is actually spitting more out. So as it turns and you lose some, And some machines have a, the name escapes me. Very simple name, bumping. So some machines have a bumping method, and we'll get into that in a minute. But so every time you bump it, you lose a little string, probably somewhere around that much. Okay. So if you got concrete, you better go with more than 40 feet. Now, if you, like I have in my backyard, and I got this stuff here, and I don't use it very often. I'll tell you why. I don't have a very big yard, but I do have an old wooden fence out there. Now, one part of my yard's got a wooden fence, an old wooden fence. One part's got a new piece of wooden fence, and one piece has got a cyclone fence. I didn't put the fence in. Don't blame me. I work on stuff. I don't fix fences. But anyhow, when I use this thicker stuff, I notice that I'm leaving some serious marks on that old fence. And I'm leaving some pretty good marks on that new wooden fence. So, don't really want to use this, because I don't want to mark up that fence. And, let's be honest, you stick down there too much, if you're marking up a piece of wood, not going to take long for you cutting through it. And you don't want to be cutting through pieces of wood on your fence. So, anyhow, but that's what I do, all right? But you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Now, this string that I just picked up, this is 80 thousandths in diameter, all right? Now, when you look at the string, and I'll put this closer to the camera here, I'll just show you this one. Okay, now they're going to show you that has 2 refills. We'll get to that in a minute, what a refill is. There's 40 feet, so every refill is going to be 20 feet. And it's 80 thousandths thick. All right, so what they're getting at with this 80 thousandths, that's the thickness of this string. All right, it's 80 thousandths of an inch. All right. Now, if you're just, if you've got thicker stuff, let's say you grow some weeds in your backyard and dandelions and things like that, and you got to cut through that. If you get something like this 65 thousandths, which is smaller, see, this is considerably smaller, then this probably isn't going to cut it, literally. You know, you're going to trim some grass, but you're not going to trim your dandelions and things like that, things that are thicker. This probably isn't going to do it. Now, for my yard, that works great. You know, I just trimming grass, and I don't want it to cut into my wooden fence or anything like that. So that works great. Okay. So, so you got different sizes. Okay. You've got 65 thousandths. You got 80 thousandths. You've got, that's another 80 thousandths. It's got 2 refills. So instead of the 4 refills here, you got 2 refills here. Now, I haven't told you what a refill is. We're going to get to that. And then you've got this stuff. Now this is a roll of steel cord, okay, and this is a little bit different. This is very thick. I'd like to tell you how thick, but the part that tells me how thick it is broken off of this reel. So I guess I can't really be sure. But it's pretty doggone thick. All right. So obviously, when you're looking for cord, you can go from the thin to the medium, 80 thousandths, 65 thousandths. You can get down to 40 thousandths, I think. And then you can get down to cord. Now, I used some here a while back, and I don't have it anymore because I didn't like it. But it was aluminum cord. that you string the aluminum cord in that thing, by God, I tell you what, now that stuff cuts through everything. You want to trim your trees in the backyard and use your trimmer to do it, you get that aluminum cord. That stuff will knock out everything. The trouble of it is, it's really hard on the machine. It weighs down the machine. Not only does it weigh down the end of the machine where the string is, but it also, you're tempted to cut everything because you can. And so you might have a little corded trimmer and you're out there trimming trees with it. So if you can do it, you probably will. And speaking from personal experience. So I didn't care for it. But if the other thing is, this stuff here, if you rake this across your foot, you know, you're going to feel it tap your foot. And I wouldn't recommend ever using a trimmer with thongs or something on, you know, flip-flops or something. But so make sure you're covering your toes, of course, when you're trimming. That goes without saying. But if you hit your shoe with this or with some of this stuff, it's just going to skim across your shoe. You know, it's not going to, it might scare the heck out of you, but it's more likely not going to do any damage. You know, it might leave a little scuff mark across the outside of your shoe, but it's probably not going through it. Now, if you have a gas-powered trimmer and you use this thick stuff, or you use that aluminum wire, it's going through it. You know, now this is going to take a couple of rounds for it to come around. If you're quick enough, you feel it the first time and move out of the way. But if you got tennis shoes on, it might get you. So consider that as well. You know, if you've got, maybe your teenager is mowing the yard and he's running the trimmer or something and he's a little clumsy, keep that in mind. So now we got these guys. These guys are mean. These guys will... Now, I had a set of these on my trimmer. And remember I told you I got a wooden fence in my backyard. And I cut a piece of wooden fence right off. Clean off. Hit it one time. And this little plastic blade smacked that thing and it broke the blade, but it broke the piece of fence right off. So, also be careful if you've got cyclone fence in your backyard. These are plastic. They'll bend, but they will break. And when they break, I don't know how fast these trimmers go at the Powerhead. Maybe something I should know, but I don't. And I'm sure they all move at different speeds depending on the size of the engine. But I do know one thing: if I got this thing attached to my trimmer, and I hit a cyclone fence with it, and that piece comes off, and it's flying through the air, I don't want to be nowhere near it. And the fact of the matter is, I'm probably about 3 feet from it when it breaks off. So keep that in mind if you're going to use these. You can pick these up at your local hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. They got it. And it basically holds on. There's 3 of these, and this is another kit. These are basically just the extras of the one I threw away. But they hold on with an attachment in there inside the head, and then these just rotate. So instead of this string rotating, you got these things that are rotating and smacking everything, and they'll cut small branches. And so if you're trimming like a field, something like that, where it's got some heavy stuff, these come in pretty handy. So all of this stuff, I'm not going to badmouth about anything here, because everything comes in handy that I've shown you. It's just different applications is all. So let's get into the Powerhead. Now this video is about stringing, putting the string in the trimmer. So let's get to that. All right. Now, on your trimmers, this is going to be one kind of Powerhead. We'll go through. I think I've got 4 of them here. So if your Powerhead looks like this, now remember what I called the bumping method? Now, if you just bought a trimmer and you don't know how to use one, this is a good tip. All right, because this right here is a blade. All right, and that blade doesn't go anywhere. It's not to cut anything. except this, okay? Because this is the guard. This is as far as that string should go. And as this is rotating around here, it's going to hit that blade and it's going to cut it off, so that you're only working with this amount. That's the safe amount that you should be working with. Don't ever take this off. It's removable. You can sharpen this if you want to, but put it back on. Okay? Don't go without this. The reason being is because if this string continues to move and there's nothing to cut this, it'll just keep coming out here way past the guard. So not a good idea. You want that string to stay within the guard. That guard's there for a good reason. Okay, now the bumping method. As you're trimming and you start to notice that you're getting closer and closer because this string seems to be getting shorter and shorter, and it's just not coming out. Okay, if you bump this on the ground as you're trimming, you're just trimming along and you just push it on the ground and rev it up a little bit. Rev it up, bump that on the ground at the same time you rev it up. What will happen when you push that, let me get my mitts out of the way here. When you push that, see there? You push it, it comes out. It lets more tension out. Now see how much we got left here? Look at that. All right, now if you bump too much, that blade will just come along, and obviously this one's dull, but it flies around there pretty quick. When it hits that metal, it'll slice it right off. All right, so you want to be careful how many times you bump it, but that's what it means to bump a trimmer. Okay, now say you ran out in this trimmer. This is your trimmer. You ran out. How do you get this darn thing off? Well, I have seen people struggle with this thing, and they come in the shop and go, "Bob, I can't get this thing off. I can do that, but how do I get this dang thing off here?" All right, settle down. Just take a deep breath. Take a look right here on the side. There's a little button right here. It says press to release. Push that button. Comes right up. Oh no, all the parts fell out. Jeez, now we're never gonna, it's okay, we'll get through this. This is one of the more complicated ones. Okay, so we're gonna go through this one first. Okay, so that's how you take the ring off. Taking the ring off, get the bumper out, set all that stuff aside. Now, I can't really see in here, but there is, there we go. Now, let me turn this around so I can see. There we go. All right, now some of these will allow you to take these out, and some of them, they'd rather you didn't. And this one is one of them that they'd rather you didn't. They want you to bring it in here because there's a little screw down inside the bottom of this thing. I don't know if you can see it from there, but see it's got that kind of a hex head inside there. When you unscrew that, all this stuff comes out. All right. So we're going to show you how to wind this. This is going to be a lot easier. All right. Now, if you look on here, it's going to show you which way to wind this. But a good way also to look at this, if you don't have any string to start with, the blade is right here. This is the sharpest part. So you know this has to go this way. All right, so the string should wind up that way. But don't worry about it, because let me get the camera a little closer here. It's going to show you. See that arrow right there? So you want to wind it that direction. Okay? So it's going to spin that direction. That's what they're trying to tell you there. All right. Now this seems kind of simple, okay? And it pretty much is. It's not really bad. But if you don't pay attention, you can end up with something that looks like this. Now, if you set this down into a trimmer, and you said, okay, it's got the bumper on the top, so I just bump it and pull on the string, that's not going to pull. Look at how that thing is wound up. Look at that. See that? All those knots and stuff wound up in there. Here's the other end of it, just hanging out there like that. That's no good. So you basically have two ends strung around here. All right? Not good. So you're going to have, some trimmers will have a catch point. Now, I personally seldom use a catch point. All right, and what I mean by catch point is you'll have something like this little angle thing that'll be inside underneath that string, and you can put the string in there and then catch it on there and then wind that thing up. I personally hardly ever use that catch point. Excuse me. Now the reason is because if you get halfway through that reel and it slips out of that catch point, then that stuff is just freewheeling in there, and you can end up with something that looks like this. So what I generally do is it disturbs me that doesn't come out. I really thought it did. But what I'll generally do is I'll just try to tie that off inside there. Just wrap it up, tie it off inside there, and then just pry this up just a little bit. Be careful now, because you could break that plastic piece, but just pry that up a little bit. Reach in there with a knife or some kind of wire cutter. Just cut that off as close as you can. Now I'm gonna warn you ahead of time. Now you're gonna end up with something like this, that extra end. However, this is fully wrapped, so you shouldn't have that end sticking out when it's fully wrapped like that. All right. Now once you get that tied off, and you just got to, just tie a slip knot in it a couple times, cinch it down in there, reach in there with your wire cutters, snip that off, or just take your pocket knife, just reach in there and shave the end of that off. And it's a little tough, but you can do it. Take your string and just go around and just wrap it up. All right, the same way that it's going to turn. Just wrap that up in there, and you want it to wrap up and look like that. You don't want it to wrap up and look like this. Now, how do you end up with something like this? I'll show you. Looks like this is a nice clean spool, doesn't it? All right, well, this is fiberglass cord. Okay, if you try to go like this and cut some corners and just push that stuff down in there, it'll work for a while, but the whole bumping method is out the door. You're going to be pulling on that and cussing in the hole. So just take your time and just wrap it very slowly around inside there. The other thing is, I'm going to use this. I'm going to grab a pencil here to show you. Okay, the other thing is, if you look up inside here, there's quite a bit of a gap in here. So it looks like you could put quite a bit in here. Don't do that, all right? If you fill this thing up, the only thing you're doing, as soon as this thing starts, it's going to wind that really tight. Now you want it tight enough so that it doesn't all take off like a loose spring in there. But you want it tight enough. Let me see if I can kind of move the camera a little bit so you can see. Let me see if we can just look inside there. Yeah, you see how tightly strung that is in there? We'll just lift this up here a little bit. See how easy you can pull that up? That's what I'm talking about with the wire cutters. But I like that amount of string right there. Now you can tell how much extra we have in that gap right there. But if you're using your trimmer right and you got the right cord, you you're not gonna go through this that fast anyway. You know, if you've got the right string. And if you don't have the right string, well then use this up pretty quick, get rid of it, and put the right string in it. So, but I always recommend you fill that about halfway in there. If you wind that up halfway, that's plenty. You don't need to go any farther than that. Okay, we're going to keep on rolling here. Now that's one type of stringer right there. Okay, here's another type. Look at this guy. Well, there is nowhere to roll that thing up. Remember, I just told you could just roll this. There's nothing like that in there. Nope. All right. So how do you do this one then? Well, this one is really easy. Okay? You got these little holes right there. See that? Now, what you do is a lot of times you'll have to loosen these screws up. And this one requires some loosened screws up because it's got, you know, it's got a lot of gunk in there. Now this one will fit on that one that I just showed you. Now this guy here has a multiple use. Now you can take out that hex head screw right in here, and this will come off, and this will come off, this whole thing, and you can put this guy on here. Now why would you put this guy on here with one piece of string that you can't bump? Why would you do that? Ha! Had an idea. How about if you wanted to use one of these? You could put this guy inside that hole, and it attaches right down there. And I apologize for lying to you earlier and telling you that I thought I threw it away, because apparently still got it around, because that's the attachment for it. As you can see, it's got string in there. I don't use it for string. Or I don't use it for these. I use it for string. But now with this here, this is where you want to use your heavy duty string or aluminum or something like that, so that you don't have to, you don't want to be using this thin stuff and putting in here, because you're going to be putting that in a lot. But when this is all cleaned out, like this one is not, you can just go on, I'm trying to find it, here it is, go right here, and you just push the string right in there, and you'll see it start to feed out here. Now what I normally do when I do this, because it's not as easy as it seems, I take a little piece of string and I cut off about 6 inches of string. Then I take that string and I put it into a bowl of oil, any kind of oil, motor oil, cooking oil, whatever, something slick. Put it in there and then push that in, and that oil helps it to slide through in there. Once you get it where it feeds out of here, or you can feed it through here into there, either way, it's just a tube that goes in there. But once you get that fed in there, get yourself a pretty good piece of string sticking out here, and then snip that off. And how that stays is it gets in a bind in there. It just gets stuck. So, but if you got a pretty good piece of string on there, and I don't have a pliers here, but if you've got a long piece of string on this and you get wound up into a fence, it'll rip that thing right out of there. So I'm not a big fan of these. But okay, so we'll put that one aside. I got one more kind to show you. This is the easy kind. A lot of people have these. This is just and I'm not going to move the camera around, I'll move the trimmer around. This is the one I use in my yard. Just a real simple one. You just plug it in. It's just a plug and play. Now, boy, this one looks different, Papa. How the heck would I do this? All right, remember that button on the side I said on the other one? Push here to release. Well, this one, they don't have anything that says it. But there's one on each side. See, there's one here. And there's one there. So you push the button on both sides. There's the spring cap right there that holds it down. There's your two buttons right there that you just pushed. See? Pull your stringer out, just like that. Ah, this grass is making my nose itch. Put your string just like that. And real quickly, we're going to just go ahead and do this. Now, take this, and I'm just going to show you real quick just how I do this. And here is that little, see in there? There's that little piece that you can hook that string into. Now for me, I don't know, maybe it'll work better for you, but for me, that never works. I put that thing in there and it seems like I get half of what I put in and it just doesn't go. All right, so now we're gonna follow our arrow right there, see that? And we're gonna wind from the top down. All right, we're going to be very careful how we wind this. Now, I really didn't save a whole lot of spare string in there, so it's all right. Now, it's going to kind of look like a mess at first. I'll be honest with you. At first, it's just kind of look like, boy, it's not very organized. Looks like it might come out of there, but it's not. You're going to be okay. Now what you don't want to have, you see that little gutter I'm starting to build on that side? You don't want that. Okay, so you want to, because what's going to happen as that string flies around, the string inside here is going to try to go to the outside, because the G-force of the string is going to try and make it go to the outside. So you want to make sure that you're all filled up in there. All right, now that looks like a pretty decent roll of string. We don't have anything odd coming out. That's where you tied your knot right there. So that's going to be fine. It'll come away from there. Now we take that. I'm going to have to get out. Hang on a second here. Got to get out the old Leatherman. I've cleaned off the bench. I don't have anything here to work with. Now, you don't want to cut this down here at the end. All right, cut it out here. Always give yourself about 4 to 6 inches to cut. All right, cut that off. Put your string aside. Now, hold this down. Do not let that tension in this string release, because when it releases, you got to take it all off and you got to start all over again. Now I know that when it released, you pulled this out and everything got tight. Yes, it did. And as soon as it tries to cut some string, you're going to end up with this. You don't want to end up with this. Okay. So you're holding the tension in that string. You're leaving this piece lay out there. Put your trimmer up here. String that right through the hole. Still hold that. Now I'm holding the tension with this. And put that down in there to where it clicks. Now you're holding the string out here. Hold your finger in there. Looky there. All is good. So we got our new string in there. That's the kind we need. Now, I am going to tell you this. There are trimmers that are only going to take one kind of string. Okay, and I'm going to try and move you around here. We're just about wrapping up here, but I want to show you see that little tiny hole in there? There is no way that you're going to put this stuff into there. Just not going to fit. Okay? So that's something else that you need to keep an eye on when you're picking what kind of string to put in there. Now, if you're not sure, let me move this out of the way. If you're not sure of what kind of string your trimmer will take, just take that little wheel out. take that little wheel out, take it down to the hardware store, take a picture of it. Better yet, take a picture of it, send it to me. Or just send me an email over at papashop01. Almost forgot our email. papashop01@gmail.com. Or you can ask me a question right here on Facebook or on Google. Or you can send us a message at Twitter, papashop01 at Twitter, papashop01 at Instagram. You can go to our website, papashop01.com. And if you go to our website, there is a spot on the website, right on the front page. It says Ask Papa. You click that Ask Papa, and it's going to send you right over to a question page. You just put your question in. You just say, Papa, here's the serial number for my trimmer. I watched your video. I don't know what to do. What kind of string should I use for that trimmer? And I will send you an email right back. I'll get back to you and I'll let you know. If you're not sure, that's probably the easiest way. You can take it to the hardware store. Maybe that kid in high school will know what he's doing, or maybe not. But my biggest suggestion would be go to papashop01@gmail, or again, papashop01.com. Check out all the stuff we got for sale in there. I'm trying to get some of that stuff moved over to Facebook so we can show you there, but I've got, oh boy, I've only got a few minutes left here, so I got to wrap this thing up, but let me tell you what's over there. So we've got AMSOIL products, got that in there. You can get any AMSOIL product you need, and if you have trouble getting anything, you let me know, and I'll get you through there. But we've got, coming soon, I've got horse bridles. Yeah, horse bridles coming in there. I have got really nice watches in there. We have a distributor that distributes very nice watches. We've got women's sundresses in there. Let me think of what else. There's phone covers. If you're into doing chainsaws, we've got chainsaw parts. Coming soon, we've got lawnmower parts. So when you watch Papa's Shop video, now don't just assume, don't let the shop behind me fool you. You go to papashop.com and you hit that shop button that you're going to see right there on the home page, and you're going to be surprised what Papa's Shop actually carries, because you would think it would just be shop stuff, tools, whatever. Not necessarily. There's some pretty good stuff over there. We've even got some masks. We've got boxes of masks. A lot of that stuff is not here at Papa's Shop. We direct ship it from other parts of the country. So everything there is American made. I inspect everything there to make sure that it comes from an American made company. So we try to support American made as much as we possibly can. But yeah, head over there and check that out, papashop.com. And I want to mention one more thing, because I wanted to say once again, I want to thank everybody. But today is Monday, and the weekend is when I kick back and I just kind of look at the stats and see who we're reaching and that kind of stuff. And so I'm looking at all of our stats this week, and it seems that we have viewers in 46 states. I am amazed. I am just about brought to tears for the appreciation. I cannot explain how much I appreciate you, the viewer, tuning in and checking out Papa's Shop and listening to our live feeds and our videos like this one here. And I encourage you to keep it up. If you have any comments, good or bad, put them right down there. Let me know if there's anything we can do. My wife tells me all the time, you're too damn long-winded, shut up. So so I'm going to take her advice, and I'm going to wrap this thing up. But again, I just want to say I appreciate it immensely, the support that everyone has given us here at Papa's Shop. And that's all we've got. And until next time, happy motoring.